What's going on, you guys? I am super pumped. Today we have Mr. AJ Brockman joining us to talk about EMP Fusion. And if you've been in DeFi, if you've been in crypto, I'm sure you actually already know AJ because he's super involved in tons of different projects. And he just is a guy that you want to know in DeFi because he's a guy that's very connected. Like if you're developing a project, he's a guy you want to be connected with. And what I appreciate about AJ, he's been on the channel a couple of times before talking about EMP. When I think was that your first protocol, EMP?
It was, Matt. Yeah, 100%, man. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes. Well, you've done so many since then. Well, so many that all interconnect and tie into each other. But you've done quite a bit since then. And yeah. So AJ is basically what one thing that I love about AJ is he is still building, still growing, still developing, still forging and creating new, I guess, technologies within DeFi that all go back and help serve all the past things that he's done. So what I see a lot and what we've seen a lot in DeFi is, make one thing, it might do well for 2 months, boom, it's over, leave everybody stranded who was stuck there holding the bag, and then go start another thing. And that's just the way that it is. But you've really tried hard to stay with it and like leave no man behind. And I just think that's admirable. Anyway, welcome AJ. Happy to have you back on the channel.
I love it, Matt. Yes, brother. And we'll talk specifically about what you just said for sure, bro. Because, I think from the outside, people think serial launching, is part of our
Yeah.
repertoire, but it's really
Yeah.
about building the franchise, man, and driving revenue back home. But yeah, man, we'll get into all that today. But first of all, I'm just happy to be here, man. It's always a pleasure with you, Matt. I know it's been a while since we've been on the channel,
Yeah.
obviously through the bear market. Things have been rough, but we're back, man. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah. So speaking of being back, let's see. Let me share my screen, and I'm going to jump over and just show this little EMP chart here. And anyway, maybe we could just kick off with this. So this is the
Perfect.
progression of EMP over the past, I don't know, 10 days or 9 days or something like that. And tell us what is going on with EMP. What's happening?
Yeah, man, no doubt. So again, I think that was a very appreciated intro that you gave me. I mean, obviously, we have not left any man behind, and that is a really important part of our ethos. So, as you said, EMP Money was our original protocol 2.5 years ago, which again is just crazy to think. It's been that long, but
It is crazy.
yeah, we had some really great success with EMP in the beginning. Obviously, with that with the model, we were a tomb fork to
Right.
begin with, and we purposely picked that model because it's one of the only economic models where everybody can win
Mm.
until they don't. So, in other words, we yield together and we earn through the yield rather than having to buy a token or
Mm.
sell a token at a higher price than what you bought it for. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
99% of crypto operates. But with
Yeah.
the inflationary models, we're able to win together for a specified amount of time. But then ultimately, somebody is left holding the bag,
Right.
and the inflation overtakes the entire economic system. And so we're now pivoting away from that 100%. So EMP Fusion is the new yeah, man, totally. We're getting away from inflation. We're getting away from all the Ponzonomics. We're getting away from everything that has been a detriment to other protocols and ours, and we're moving into what we're calling a real yield model. And this is again the way of the future. And
Yeah.
back to your point of launching other projects, yeah, we had to do that in order to make the individual projects stronger
Yeah.
together. And so, we got a little bit of heat over the last year of kind of putting EMP on the back burner, but we did that again on purpose because we had to build the revenue streams first to
Yeah.
then make EMP Fusion even more powerful. So, yeah, and we'll get into all that. The chart right now looks incredible. Obviously, over the last 24 hours, we had a
Yeah.
swing trader that dumped, but and we'll address it right in the front here. The whole idea of the economic model is that we are doing what is basically the biggest buy and burn in crypto history. So by sacrificing, and we use that word on purpose for
Hmm.
potential regulatory reasons, but really it just means a deposit. So you're able to buy EMP off the market, you deposit it into Fusion to then earn a part of our real yield. But by doing this, um, again, it's always having this buying pressure and financial incentive of getting us back to peg. And so
Right.
again, that was one thing I didn't mention earlier. Even with the original Tomb Fork model, we are pegged 4,000 to 1 to Ethereum. And so rather than just adjusting that peg or moving the goalposts, we are ordering that 4,000 to 1 peg, and we are going to get back. It's not if, it's when. And again, as you
Love
can
that.
see in the chart, obviously over the last 24 hours with the market and the swing trader, it's been down. But if you zoom out, it's up and to the right, for
Right.
literally a month. And so it's this game of attrition where, yes, there will
Totally.
be dips, but over the next month, or maybe at this point, even weeks, we are able to get back to peg. So yeah, man. Sorry, I know that was a lot.
No,
I just was on a roll there, but yeah.
love it.
Does that make sense, Matt? For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think as we talk about EMP fusion, it'll make more sense to everyone who's not all the way where it's not clicking,
For
but it's
sure.
makes sense. And as a price of any asset rises, there's going to be people that capitalize and sell on that rise in the price. And so I think that's what we're seeing here. Which, maybe talk about like what should people be afraid of this dip right here, or should they be excited and take advantage of it? Like,
Yeah, 100%, Matt. So again, and we'll get into some of the details
yeah,
now. So bear with me. I mean, I know it can be a little overwhelming
yeah.
at first glance, but I promise you that EMP Fusion is actually way simpler and much more streamlined than the original 2 model, where you got to learn about LPs and
Yeah.
the boardroom and everything else. So yeah, the answer is this is an amazing opportunity, and the reason is what we call the peg bonus. So
Okay.
right now, while we're recovering peg, you are getting a microgrid value, which again, to back up one more time,
Sure.
EMP Fusion is essentially a single staking platform where you sacrifice your EMP or any other asset, you then get ownership in the protocol. And because EMP is now non-inflationary and a finite supply, there is only so much ownership that you can get.
Mhm.
So you're not being diluted by other players or other participants. There is a total number that will be reached. And so you sacrifice now. When we're below peg, you are getting your microgrid value, which is that little card right there. Yep. You're getting that value at peg price. So right now, again, that 4,000 to 1 ratio puts EMP at roughly 81 cents
Okay.
or so. And so we're crediting you that value. Now, obviously, on the dashboard, it is dashboard money, or what we call unrealized gains. But because of this
Right.
peg bonus, eventually that will be the actual market value of the microgrids. And again, this is what is driving the constant buy pressure on EMP, because the more that people sacrifice now, the bigger bonus they get. However, as we get back to peg, that bonus gets less and less, because we're closer to the real market value of EMP. And this whole economic mechanism is insanely powerful because, again, back to the chart, on a big dip like that, um, uh, the swing trader, and you can see it right there in real time, where they sold, that swing trader will never be able to buy EMP back at a lower price than what they sold it for. And so over time,
Yeah.
this again eliminates all the what we call prisoner's dilemma of worrying about somebody dumping on our heads. And
Right.
we as a community, just continually buy, and even the treasury, we buy and we sacrifice EMP to get us back to peg. So yeah, man, does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. And once you're at peg, you're not going to have to worry about that either, because there's not,
Exactly.
well, I mean, you might go over or under a little bit here or there, but, or I don't know, is that true?
Yeah.
That's how I used to work.
Yeah, we can elaborate on
Yeah,
that. So when we are at peg again, what you said is 100% right because there will be very little EMP in existence when we're back at peg, so that people trying to sell at peg are few and far between anyway. But again, even if we do dip below peg a little bit, then that peg bonus will kick in again. So even if we're say 1% below peg, you're essentially able to buy EMP and sacrifice that to get, a bit of a
right.
discount
I love it.
on it. So yeah, so it really it is a perpetual arbitrage opportunity that will always make it attractive to buy EMP below peg. And again, to your point, a month or two from now, there may not be any EMP in existence, and that is what is the most
Wow.
powerful because when that happens, then sacrifice completely goes away. And the only way to get into EMP is to buy the microgrid from somebody else. Yep, through the marketplace. Exactly. So that the tab right there above. Yep, perfect, brother. So that this is the secondary market, and at that point, when there is no more EMP or very little EMP
Mhm.
left, the only way to get in is buying a microgrid, and that
Interesting.
further, supports what I said earlier about the dashboard money on your microgrid will actually be the fair market value at that point. So yeah, it's again, we spent a year developing this. It's not a fork. It's a completely new economic model, and everything that we hypothesized on building this is coming true. And it's only been like 8 days, so yeah, man, we're way
Okay.
ahead of schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. So I heard you, I think on a different AMA, you talked about the supply of EMP and how much has already been locked up. Maybe you could touch on that to get
Yeah, man.
an
Yeah,
idea.
love it.
In 8 days, like what happened?
Yeah, I know, bro. In 8 days, it's insane. So yeah, this is incredible. So we have again in EMP Fusion alone, just that contract and everything I'm about to say, you're able to verify on chain for sure. But just the EMP Fusion contract alone um, has taken in roughly 23 million EMP by itself. Now, if you account for bonds and ETH LP, EMP ETH LP, all the assets that are sacrificable that pertain to EMP, again, and that's another thing we never, in the original Tomb fork, all the bondholders that were doing the
Yeah,
best thing for the protocol, they should be rewarded, but they all get screwed
right.
because the protocol fails or they're never able to recover peg. So again, uh, staying true to our transparency and mission, we are honoring all the bondholders as well. So if you have e bonds, you sacrifice those and get full EMP value on that as well. But my point, what we were saying about what's been locked up. So
Yeah,
if you account for all of that, and also a few of the treasury contracts that again we would never dump EMP on everybody's head. So those are all accounted for. It's a whopping 40 million EMP that is basically locked up now, which accounts for 66% of all the EMP
that's
in
mind blowing.
existence. Yeah, so we're gonna see a massive supply shock.
Wow.
Again, way sooner than we anticipated.
You're saying over 60% is already locked up forever.
Correct. Yes, sir. And now that EMP is not inflationary, that really matters
Yeah.
because every single day there's less and less EMP available. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of recap for anyone out there who's still like trying to grasp it, the original problem with EMP and I guess any Tomb fork or honestly any DeFi project is trying to get people to to have the right behavior that will serve the protocol for the long run instead of the short run. And you can't control people. So it's like I watch it every time. It's like this cat and mouse game, this like chess game between the developers and the people using the protocol. And they're trying to outwit each other. And like so people would always take profits in EMP rather than I guess the old model was eShare was what you wanted people to take their profits in so that it
Correct.
didn't hurt the EMP price and the whole ecosystem. Well, you just can't control people. So I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, you were thinking out of the box, like how could we encourage people and make it so easy for them to just make the right decision? And so I think that's probably where EMP Fusion came in, is helping people
Yeah,
win in the
yeah.
long run.
No doubt, Matt. I love it, brother. And again, you've been along the journey with us from the beginning, so I love your perspective. And yeah, it's so true. I mean, this obviously it's a little bit hard to understand,
Yeah.
on a high level, but once you're in it, it is literally the easy button of crypto. I mean, once you're sacrificed and in, you're earning with exposure to Ethereum. Again, that's another thing. We honored our original mission statement of being, a DeFi protocol that is the best passive income platform with exposure to Ethereum. And because we're keeping peg at that 4,000 to 1 ratio, um, that is a reality. And even though we're below peg right now, you still get all the price appreciation of Ethereum because our main LP is EMP ETH, and even today, we have over about 1.5 million Ethereum backing the price of EMP. So if ETH, and I say if, but more like when, just like peg
Right.
recovery, when ETH goes to 8,000 or even 12,000, you're looking at a $2 or $3 EMP without any additional buy pressure because again, the liquidity bonding
Mm.
brings the price of EMP with it.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right. No, that makes total sense. One question that I think would be really helpful for people to understand before we kind of talk about other stuff in the marketplace and other ways like that.
for
I
sure.
think you mentioned the word real yield, and a lot of people have thrown that around, and a lot of people have tried a lot of different things to make that work, where you're actually earning real yield and then paying that people earning their profits in that versus inflation or some other model. But maybe talk about how are you guys paying the real yield? Where's it coming from?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. So again, you're 100% right. I think people say real yield and they don't really
Right.
know what that means. But
Mhm.
yeah, so we have 8 revenue streams, and just to give an example, what we were talking about earlier are other protocols. So we have built a DEX on Pulse Chain called SparkSwap, and
Yep.
we also have a DEX on Manta Network called CedoSwap, and the reason that we built those before we built EMP Fusion was that we had to have these in place to drive revenue back to EMP Fusion. So again, 99% of crypto is either inflation, where you're just printing new tokens to provide yield,
Right.
or it's Ponzonomics, where you're paying old investors with new investors'
Yeah.
money. We eliminate all of that. So just like in a real world business, we generate real revenue through fees. So again, to use the DEX as an example, we're getting a portion of all the swap fees. We have a bridge. We're getting a portion of all the bridge fees. We have an auto vault system. We get a portion of all the auto vault fees. And we have a perpetuals platform, which again allows you to long or short tokens. And then we get a fee from that as well. So when we say real yield, it has no relation to new users. We just have to have volume. So as
Right.
long as people are using crypto, we are generating actual new revenue coming back home to EMP Fusion. And another cool part is EMP Fusion itself is a revenue stream. So you mentioned the marketplace. So there are batteries for sale, and that's how you cash out of the ecosystem, um,
Okay.
which gives you actual BNB, actual Ethereum, or actual USDT. So we're not rewarding you in our protocol token; we're rewarding you in blue chips. And that is you have to buy
Love it.
one of the batteries first, but they're only $15, and that $15 in M energy for marketplace energy, that doesn't go to us as the devs. That goes right back into the rewards of EMP Fusion. So again, we're building this flywheel that is
Yeah.
always driving revenue back to EMP Fusion. And their eShare is, and you mentioned eShare earlier, that is
Yeah.
essentially the new utility token of the ecosystem. So all these revenue streams that I mentioned, they have to go and buy eShare before we reward it to all the users. So energy
Cool.
and eShare are essentially the same thing. And so that is actually what you're earning. So when you cash out the battery, it will sell eShare for those batteries. But because of all the economic energy and buy and burn on eShare alone, it is still a net positive price action for eShare as well.
Hmm.
So both EMP and eShare are basically programmed through math to appreciate over time.
That's amazing. So, okay, let me know if I'm understanding this right. So, if you have EMP, you can bring it in here and deposit it. That's going to give you your microgrid value. So it'll tell you your percent ownership. This percent ownership is based on what your rewards are going to be, right? Is it based on how much you own of the
Y-
protocol?
Yes, so a great clarification here. So yeah, and this is some alpha for the Matt Bills community.
There
So
we go.
yeah, man, we love the alpha, right, Matt? So
That's right.
when we are under peg, the number one thing that you want to be sacrificing is EMP. So just remember that you are able to sacrifice BNB or ETH or USDT, but that really only matters when we're closer to peg because you're not going to be getting the
Bonus.
the bonus, yeah.
Yeah.
So the peg bonus is
Mm.
really, really important. And yeah, like you said, Matt, you're able to sacrifice the EMP. You then get what's called sacrifice points, and sacrifice points are a unit of accounting within the protocol. Again, you get more sacrifice points when we're below peg, and you get a one-to-one value
Uh,
of sacrifice points to EMP when we are at peg. But still, sacrifice points are non-inflationary, meaning, again, at some point, even though there'll be more SAC points than actual EMP, it is a relation to the EMP that you have sacrificed. So to answer the
okay.
question, yeah, depending on the ownership is how the rewards are distributed. So, say that we're able to generate $10,000 a day in
Mhm.
real yield. If you owned 1% of that, then you'd be getting $100 a day. So yeah, that's how that is determined.
So yeah, like you said, this seems once you understand this, it is sort of the easy button. You just deposit or sacrifice, I should say, your EMP,
For sure,
and then it just earns yield for you. And not to mention, if you get in now, you have that bonus through your microgrid value that, once it's back to peg can be realized. I guess it can be realized then or now through the marketplace. You could
for
sell
sure.
microgrid, right? Maybe get
Yeah, so
that.
that's another amazing part. Yeah, not to cut you off, but yeah, it is not a sunk cost. So again, a lot of other DeFi protocols, especially a passive income platform
Mhm.
like this, they essentially require you to lock up your capital forever,
And and just
yeah,
lock
yeah,
it up and pray.
exactly, bro. So, and you have to hope that your ROI will outweigh the sunk cost. And,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that is not the case.
Well, it
So,
just doesn't even
yeah,
last that long, but yeah.
exactly. So we, again, through the marketplace. Now, obviously, there has to be a buyer. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a caveat. But again, even at a discounted value, you're still getting more than what you invested through the peg bonus. So, you can sell your microgrid at any time. And again, we take a 3% fee on this as well,
Okay.
which is used to burn or reward the eShare rewards. So, I mean, this is all self-sustaining, even without the outside revenue. So, for sure.
Okay, cool. So once you have it in there and it's earning the real yield, in order to actually take your profits and actually get them back into your wallet, you need to buy a battery and do it that way, right? That's what I heard you say.
Yep, so there's
Okay.
actually 2 ways. So,
Okay.
number 1, and again, not financial advice, but if you go back to your dashboard really quick, Matt, um, and again, people may have a pre-assumption of compounding. Obviously, we don't ever suggest compounding to infinity. But while we're below peg, the number 1 way to quote unquote take
Mm,
profit is through what we call the BBE. So yeah, up there in the right, buy back and earn. And what this does is you don't have to have a battery. And again, that's another option. If you say, well, Fusion sucks because I have to buy a battery, well, just do the BBE then. I mean, that you don't have to
yeah.
have any more
Yeah.
additional funds. And what it does is it takes your energy rewards and it will go on the market and buy EMP, which already providing buy pressure on EMP and sacrifice it for you with the peg bonus. So you're getting this peg bonus. It's essentially an auto compounder
Yeah.
that gives you more value and more ownership and provides buying pressure on EMP while doing so. So the BBE is very powerful, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, when sacrifice goes away, and there is no more EMP to buy on the market, then the BBE will also go away. So,
Oh, okay.
that is also part of why you would want to be doing it now and instead of later, for sure.
Right, so this is something you'd wanna do now to take advantage of the bonus, and it's actually gonna go away
Yeah.
when there's no EMP left in the market.
Totally. And we may be able to tweak it to where the BBE will go and buy microgrids
Yeah.
rather than EMP. But for right now, we're just saying,
Mm.
don't count on that because if there is no more EMP, then the BBE cannot function that way anyway. So, and then, yeah, the other way to cash out is the batteries. Again, we're running a very special introductory uh, uh, deal where the batteries are actually unlimited. So this is the first phase of EMP Fusion. We call it the MVP or the minimal viable product, but we will be upgrading some features and adding more and more batteries. Um, but right now they're unlimited, which means as long as you are over the $15 threshold, because there is a
Mm.
minimum on claiming your rewards,
Okay.
they'll earn forever. So at least until we update the new math, and the new math will actually have a upper limit on what the battery can earn, so that you're encouraged to upgrade your batteries to be able to be more passive. So again,
Okay. Okay.
all of our bonuses aren't centered around more yield; they're centered around quality of life. So if you're a whale and you're getting say uh, $100 a week in rewards, then you're much more inclined to buy a higher capacity on your battery so that you don't have to check your battery rewards like every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Yeah.
totally.
Okay.
Yeah, on that subject, let's see, we have a comment here, on the subject of batteries. Could you talk about the future of batteries that will be released in the upcoming year? Which I guess you just touched on that, or is there anything else
Yeah, so
about that?
again, not only yeah, man, absolutely. So not only are we adding additional batteries, which again, Matt, this is really powerful as an onboarding tool as well, because we're able to partner with other protocols. Um, um, Granted, they have to have liquidity on their tokens, but
Mhm.
we're able to add, say, for instance, a trunk battery, where we are essentially putting buying pressure on that token indefinitely through the battery process. And not only is this an amazing way, again, to reward users in other tokens, but it's an incredible onboarding technique too, because if somebody wants to earn Trunk passively, then they have to get into EMP Fusion to do so. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we're gonna be continually adding more and more batteries. We've had a lot of requests for a Bitcoin battery. Again, we are on the BSC network, but a lot of the blue chips are wrapped on BSC. And again, more alpha for you, Matt.
Okay.
Um, with our the ultimate goal with our dexes is that we have a giant interoperable dex, whether that is using L1 dex and L1X technology
Uh-huh.
or doing it on our own. If depending on how that tech evolves, we would be in a position that we would actually be able to provide batteries that reward you on other chains as well. So imagine
Wow.
being interoperable where, say, Pepe, for instance, you're getting rewarded an actual Pepe on Ethereum mainnet through our bridging infrastructure. So,
Yeah, that's pretty
uh,
wild.
yeah, the future is amazing what we're capable of doing. And again, that just brings more and more eyeballs back home to EMP Fusion. And then last but not least, that split my battery or split my position battery.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
on the far right, the purple one. So we also will have utility based batteries as well. And so this battery you would buy, say you are, again, maybe a bit of a whale, and you have $100,000 microgrid. Well, it would be really hard to buy or to have a buyer that would buy all $100,000 of your microgrid at once. Well, if you buy the split my position battery, again, just $15, you're then able to sell a portion of your microgrid at any time. So it will show up on your dashboard. You'll have another, after you buy the battery, you'll have another tab that becomes available. And then you can just sell, 10, 20, 100, 1,000, any
Hmm.
denomination of your microgrid to other users.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's cool. You guys have that option for sure. Um, I was gonna say, I was just gonna throw this out there. I'm just thinking through the real
For
yield
sure.
guys that you guys offer because okay, here's what I appreciate about it. Most of the protocols that say real yield, they're basically saying something like this: like I have this master trader who's going to trade, and he's going to trade, and all the profits that he gets, we're going to send to you guys as rewards. Well, what happens when they're relying on a master trader? Well, he has a couple of bad days, and the whole thing's it's gone, right? But you guys have real yield coming from actual real utility and infrastructure that people want to use because it actually serves a real purpose. And so it, like you said, it still needs volume. Like people have to be using that utility. But I think it's a way safer approach to real yield. And I think it's why it took you so long. You know, I know people in the original EMP, some of them that didn't have the vision maybe got disheartened because it took a long time. But
For sure.
had to, like you said, because you're actually trying to build real utility that drives real revenue back to the whole ecosystem. So I'm just kind of like making all the connections in my head, and just I appreciate the way that you're doing it.
I love it, Matt. Yeah, bro. And again, I appreciate you highlighting it because it is 100% true. And yeah, I mean, we had a lot of hate over the last year, while we were building other things that people didn't see, the big picture. And now that we're here, even though again, we do our own AMAs twice a week on YouTube trying to tell everybody, this is what we're doing, but people don't listen or they want to gamble on the next meme token, but we're building
Oh yeah,
a real foundation um, that again is not only safe in terms of crypto, but also sustainable. And yeah, I mean, in full disclosure too, Matt, we do have a trader that does a little bit of our treasury
well,
to generate yield.
but you have seven
Yeah,
other streams though.
exactly. We have 7 other streams, and we're always adding. Again, man, I wanted to bring this up because and I've heard you say this before. I think on pretty much every AMA, it's about investing in teams,
Yes,
not
yeah,
necessarily projects.
yeah,
And you know, by investing in the EMP Fusion, you get exposure to literally everything that we build for in perpetuity. I mean, forever. And
yeah,
so the goal is that we're always bringing more APR through these external yields, and we do it in a very conservative, like you said, diversified way. So all of our verticals Some of them are utility based, some of them are treasury based, some of them are
Right.
maybe even outside of crypto. We just announced we're actually building a strategic card game, but rather than it being play to earn and very heavily crypto focused, we're building it to suit the mainstream gaming audience, and that has nothing to do with the success of crypto. We just need to have a fun game that people want to play,
Hmm.
and 10% of all that revenue will go to EMP Fusion as well. So yeah, man, it took a long time to get the infrastructure set up, but now we are
Yeah.
firing on all cylinders. So,
That's amazing. So this has kind of just popped in my head. Like, how big is your guys' team to
yeah.
handle all of this?
Yeah, man, no doubt. So, again, this is some more alpha or updates. We About 6 months ago, we merged with another team called Dex Finance,
Okay.
and they helped us build SparkSwap. They have amazing proprietary tech of their own on the Auto Vault system that they have, which we'll be giving a big update on that as well in the next few weeks. But yeah, now our team is over 30 developers. So
Wow.
now that we have merged, not only do we split the costs on developing, but we have a team that can handle every little piece, and the game as well. We also hire subcontractors. So the game
Okay.
specifically, that is through a AAA game studio out of Thailand. Um, and they've worked with Netflix and Mitsubishi, Pepsi. So we're also outsourcing some of the work as well. But all the
So
smart contracts, all the financial instruments, those are all under our core developers. And
got
again,
it.
Matt, I know it's hard to believe, but over the last 2.5 years, we've launched literally over 100 smart contracts, and not
Wow.
one of them has been exploited. So,
That's amazing. That's seriously like people need to understand how amazing that is because it's generally not the case in DeFi. And
for sure,
so,
brother. We
yeah,
take our safety very seriously, for
that says
sure.
a lot about your team. I wanted to touch on that because number one, I didn't know how big your team was. And number two, it's like I think people might have this picture in their mind that it's just AJ in a dark room who never sleeps and thinks all
Yeah,
this stuff,
totally. Yeah.
But you
I
guys have
I I like to think I have a lot of energy, but I don't think I have that much energy. So,
right.
yeah,
No, for
100%,
sure.
man.
Okay, we got a question here from James Phelps. Thanks for everything. If the rewards come from real yield and the project pays out based on the value of eShare, then why is it important to get back to PEG? Why is EMP PEG important?
Yeah, totally. So in the short term, in terms of yield, then you're pretty much right. I mean, the yield doesn't really depend on the peg price. However, the peg is still important because um, the whole goal is that not only are we wanting to yield through the APR and through passive income, but you also want to have a price appreciating asset. So you have the best of both worlds. And because EMP is pegged to Ethereum, then and we have all that liquidity bonding, then over time, again, ETH or EMP and ETH going up will increase the dollar value of the ecosystem. And again, if we had to do it all over, then peg probably isn't as powerful,
Yeah,
but we had to honor what we did originally. And
yeah,
looking at it now, again, if you're bullish on ETH, peg is really powerful because you know your microgrid value could literally double, because it represents the actual EMP that your microgrid is holding. So
yeah. I think that's a great answer. And also, I think the best marketing in the world is a chart that goes up and to the right.
yes,
Bringing
brother.
new capital, new eyeballs into the protocol.
Yeah, absolutely. And that again is what matters in terms of keeping that peg, because once we are at peg, then our
Yeah,
chart will literally mirror the Ethereum chart. So we become again fractionalized ETH
yeah,
through EMP. So yeah, and again, it's powerful for many reasons: the price appreciation, the chart, even the psychology, of putting your ETH to work, because a lot of people just hold Ethereum in their wallet, and that's great. I mean, hodling is the number one way to earn over time, but why not put that capital to work in a safe environment, that you still are earning on your ETH, and you still have the original ETH value going up as well. So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good point. One thing I was thinking, AJ, just throwing this out there. What if you had a little graphic based on how much of the EMP tokens have been locked in the system? Like if you had a little
Yes.
dial that said 60% that went up, that'd be a cool thing for people to get excited about,
I
or
love
maybe it
it.
could live somewhere else. I don't know, but
Yeah, Matt. No, I love it, bro. I love all these different suggestions. And yeah, we are working on it. If you go to the original EMP site as well, go to emp.money. And we're working on consolidating all this. But we have to honor, and this is a great segue, we have to honor all the
oh yeah,
original legacy
yeah,
contracts as well. But if you look at the top right there, it will show you the peg in real time, and that 0.27, I mean, every day it's going up,
right.
up and up and up. So that's kind of a way to measure peg. But I
Yeah.
love your idea of pulling the
Well,
on-chain data of how much EMP is
that's
actually.
a crazy
Yeah,
number. I
yeah.
just feel like people need to see it, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. So, and to that point, we are honoring all the original contracts
Oh yeah.
as well. So not only did we have some frustrated people about the time it took to build, but obviously we did have a lot of people that were maybe over invested in Detonator and our DOS contracts. And so
Yeah.
obviously, we built those contracts to support the original Tomb protocol. Again, nodes is another example. That really helped us maintain as long as we did. But over time, no matter how perfect the economics are, if somebody claims more than money going in, again, because those are and always have been represented as games or
Yeah.
ROI
Yeah.
contracts, there's really not a lot that we can do. But rather than saying, sorry, everybody, oh well, we still try to do our best to help the situation. And so moving forward, if you are in Detonator or Nodes or any of the legacy contracts, rather than being able to claim from those and sell, again, Detonator, let's just talk about that specifically to make it easier. So
Okay.
right now, you're able to get EMP ETH LP. You can claim that LP and then break the LP and sell it all. Which again, that hurts the protocol over the long run. So what we're doing is we are forcing you to claim into EMP Fusion. So that EMP ETH LP will be credited to you with a peg bonus if we're below peg
Okay.
into your microgrid. And even if you didn't sign up for EMP Fusion and you feel like we're changing the rules or whatever, you can always just sell your microgrid. So you can still get out, so to speak, without ever hurting the price of EMP. And that really is the fundamental difference, is that by eliminating the selling pressure, um, and implementing some other upgrades to Detonator that penalize you for claiming, every day, those are hopefully going to reverse the
Hmm.
pool balance, the draining or the bleeding,
Right.
so to speak. And actually, Detonator or all the DOS contracts, there may be a very interesting situation in the near future as we get back to peg and as we implement all these edits. Um, you may be able to speculate on Detonator earning you
Hmm.
more sacrifice points than if you were to just sacrifice directly. So, and all the incentives are there. I mean, Detonator was the talk of the town for a reason, and that was
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
the lottery and the largest depositor bonus. I mean, all of that is still built in to the protocol. So we just need the momentum to switch the other way. And so we're
Yeah.
doing all that now to make that happen, hopefully. So
Yeah, I love that. Again, it's honoring the people that got into these protocols and trying to give them a way to still profit, still earn
for
without
sure,
protocol. I think that's I mean, that's the best you could ask for if you got in these protocols and it didn't turn out the way you wanted to,
yep,
because, most other, and in most other protocols, they'd just be like, well, hey, sorry, like you knew what you were getting into, like no,
for sure.
not,
Well, and again, I mean, we have every AMA. We always said it wasn't a annuity. It's not a certificate of deposit.
yeah,
It is a game, and but we get it. I mean, we're DeFi users as well, and so the only thing that we get a lot of people asking is, if they can basically sacrifice or transfer their entire balance over. And unfortunately,
hmm,
again, we cannot dilute other users, and so it really puts us in a tough spot where, as much as we would like to be able to do that, it's not fair to the protocol overall. So we are working every day to get more and more solutions,
yeah.
to help. So yeah,
Yeah. So, okay, to further clarify this for me and maybe for other people out there. So like whenever you're doing traditional I guess apps like the detonator and other things out there that are based on your share, like you're earning based on your share of the protocol. But not the problem, but the way that those work are that you're constantly jockeying with other people over taking your share unless you keep putting more money into the contract. So
yes.
that's typically how these sort of protocols would work versus EMP Fusion, unless I'm getting this wrong. Like when you have this ownership, like is that going to change ever? Like can people like are you losing ownership by other people getting in?
Yeah, so again, Matt, this is amazing because this is again one of the big points of confusion, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah, detonator again, and the way detonator works and the way EMP fusion works are completely separate. And so to Matt's point, um, because of the daily lottery and because of the all the incentivization that's built into detonator, a lot of those rewards are what we call inflationary. So
Yeah.
that again, it's how you pay those yields. It's through again a bit of a uh, I don't want to say made up number because it's based on math, but it is
Right.
definitely not collateralized with the actual tokens being put in. And so uh, to the opposite of that though, EMP Fusion is 100% a max supply and maxed ownership protocols. So, to answer your question, Matt, you may see your ownership go down slightly over the next few months, just because that means that more EMP is being sacrificed.
Yeah.
But once that happens
Yeah.
and all the EMP is sacrificed, there is absolutely no way possible to be diluted ever. And on top of that, again, this is even more amazing economics. We as a protocol will start buying microgrids off the market once we are at peg. And so by doing that, it's almost like a stock buyback where all the
Hmm.
microgrids we're able to buy, that means that we can reward the same amount of rewards or more rewards over less people, and that
Yeah.
automatically makes the
Yeah.
APR go up. Yeah.
It's like an EMP stimulus check. That's good.
Exactly. Yes, brother. Yeah. And again, I mean, that would be, over time, that means that your ownership will actually grow once we get to that phase.
Interesting.
And again, I mean, we joke about this in our own community, but the ultimate vision of Fusion is that, a year or two from now, all the EMP is in Fusion. Nobody wants to sell their microgrids because the yield is so good, and now we're just one giant, private investment
Yeah.
family that's earning every day. So yeah,
I mean, interesting. Yeah. I mean, as you diversify and keep adding these different revenue streams in, and you're doing it in a safer way. It'd be interesting to
for sure.
see kind of bigger players might come out and want to invest in the ecosystem. You know what I mean? So, Yeah, that's kind of I love the vision that you guys have for that. Now, also in a different, I think a different AMA I was listening to, you were talking about the game you're developing. First of all, is that like a year away, 2 years away? Like, how
Yeah,
is it?
for sure. So again, those that know about game development,
Yeah.
you know that it takes a while. So we are under contract with the game studio. We're going through right now what we're calling a discovery phase or a pre-development phase. And that should only take about a month. And then after that, we will be announcing again the full roadmap of that game with a very clear vision and milestones. In terms of game development that we'll meet. And
Cool.
as of right now, again, we always budget for over what is it under promise and over deliver, but usually it's the other way around. So we have budgeted them going overtime, but even now we're looking at about 8 months. So it could be really good timing with the eventual top of the bull run early next year. So yeah, that's the rollout, and we'll have more info on that as well. We are planning on having a token for the game, even though again it's mainly focused for the mainstream audience that doesn't really
Right.
care about crypto. We will have another investment vehicle for the game, but again, if you're in Fusion, then you don't have to even worry about that because you're automatically getting 10% just for being part of Fusion. So.
I love that. Well, the reason I kind of wanted to set this stage for the timeline was I heard you make a comparison to Splinterlands and like whether they were able to bring in revenue wise.
For
Just
sure.
to give people an idea, maybe you could talk about that, like what that 10% might, you're not promising anything, but the at the peak of the bull run, what might be possible.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. So again, I think people think, well, oh, it's just another, crypto
Totally.
project announcing that they're going to build a game. That's old
Right.
news.
Who
Well,
cares? Well,
yeah,
yeah.
right, exactly. But to Matt's point, I mean, I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio from Splinterlands alone, and I have very, very extensive background in specifically strategic card games that incorporate crypto. I mean, again, that was the first project I ever really got involved in, almost 10 years ago now. So that being said, yeah, I mean, you know, Splinterlands did an incredible job and still to this day has amazing amount of daily active users. But in the height of the last bull run, they between their pack sales and the marketplace, because again, if you're selling and buying NFTs on the marketplace, you're getting a cut of all of that volume as well. They were doing $1 million a day in revenue. So again, if you
Yeah.
equate that to what we're doing or what we will be doing, it could be upwards of 100 grand a day that goes back into Fusion. So yeah,
Cool. So cool. It's just cool to know like what possibilities are out there.
for
And
sure.
that's just one of them. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to throw this comment up there. Just some love for the team. The best and most trusted team ever, constantly looking at ways to improve. So humble. AJ and LA are amazing. I would
Wow,
agree with that one.
thank you. That
Uh,
is, yeah,
yeah.
that means a lot, man.
Uh,
We're grinding for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, James Phelps, a big fan of the longtime EMP holder. Thank you for your answer. Just thought, why don't we give 30 days for people to sacrifice into Fusion, honor the legacy contracts, and then close EMP?
Yeah, so again, James, that, was something that we looked at originally when building this out, but a couple of things. Number one, um even though we are as vocal and transparent as we can be, a 30-day window really isn't fair to,
Yeah,
users that have been in the protocol for 2.5 years. And a time-based
yeah,
system like that it brings up a lot of issues. And then number two, like I said earlier, allowing people to sacrifice their positions from other contracts that will dilute everybody that actually has EMP and that, was practicing uh, everything that we had mentioned, for the last 2 years about being in the farms first and then speculating
Yeah.
and detonator everything else. So that is a lot of the reasons why we didn't go that route. And number two, this new model is always giving incentive, financial incentive to buy EMP below peg. So if we would have done it the other way around, there would have been no like economic energy to help us recover peg. So this again is much more sustainable moving forward.
But for new people coming into the ecosystem, they I mean, you can't tell people what to do, but I mean, they would wanna come in through Fusion, right? Like, cause
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Well, and again, that's another point. I mean, the
Mm,
whole idea is that, as much as we would love to be one giant private, investment club or whatever, we also want new users. So again, uh, to Matt's point, I mean, moving into the future, you will get new users that have heard about our track record, that trust in EMP, especially during the bull market when all the attention is back in crypto. And yeah, we want to be able to have a mechanism for people to get involved or buy other people's microgrids
mhm.
from them. Uh, again, or if we're below peg, sacrificing directly. But yeah, that essentially makes it to where the longevity of new users is attractive as well. Because again, it may not seem like it now because we're all here at the present moment, but a year from now when we're able to maybe, two, three, 4x the amount of revenue, and even if microgrid values go up, it's still attractive for new users to want to get involved because we've been able to scale the revenue with our growth.
Right. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Um, so it's more complicated, than he might
For
than one
sure.
think to just like, "Oh, let's just get rid of, the original EMP in 30 days."
Yeah.
Um, Crypto Randy, what's up, brother? Good to see you. He's talking about your yield, so it's yield on provided services. Uh,
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's right, Randy. We building an infrastructure on these other chains that are not only, a great product market fit, but a real need in those underdeveloped chains as well.
yeah, awesome. Okay, then we've got, is it being discussed that you could sacrifice your nodes for the value you paid for them, minus what you withdrew, of course?
Yeah, so the nodes are one of the only exceptions to what I discussed a little bit earlier because nodes are actual EMP that has been put into that contract. So we are looking at some options on, again, it may not be a one-to-one value, but we may be able to get people the ability to, get out of nodes without hurting the other, users because again, that's actual EMP that people have put into nodes. So
Right.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
So that's why, yeah, I get it. That's why it's an exception for sure. Well, yeah, we've been going here for almost an hour. I think we did a pretty good job of covering at a high level some of the stuff. Maybe the only thing we didn't touch on was these low voltage power packs. I don't know if you want.
Yep, absolutely, Matt. So again, brother, you've been amazing. I remember now why I love coming on your channel, bro. You
Uh,
are a gem. So I appreciate
Thanks, man.
you, yeah, going through all this. But so yeah, the only other thing we didn't really touch on was M energy. So
Oh
again,
yeah.
yeah, all of our entire ecosystem revolves around energy. Again, the theming with EMP, electromagnetic pulse,
Love it.
electricity, everything that we do. Um, and so we didn't want to confuse people further than they may already be by calling everything in the whole ecosystem energy. So that means that we have again a secondary unit of accounting called M energy. So it's really simple. Energy is what you earn in your batteries to give you rewards,
Okay.
and M energy is marketplace energy, what you use to uh, buy things. And unfortunately, we can't have that be one in the same because there would be a potential exploit where people would be able to take advantage of these bonuses and then loop that system and essentially extract value. So M
Okay.
energy and energy have to be separate, but they still operate in the same way under the hood, so to speak. So you can buy M Energy up there in that top right button, Matt. Yep. So you can use eShare and convert it that way, or any of the other blue chip assets, and it will be a dollar value. So one M Energy equals $1. And another way to look at it is M Energy is essentially the in-game currency of Fusion. So um,
Okay.
you don't want to buy too much, especially now because we have very limited battery options. But in the future, we'll have some really powerful batteries. I mean, we're even talking about being able to offer an auto compounder for your detonator, so you don't have to get up every day at the same time and do that.
Yeah.
So batteries could be you could spend a lot on batteries for sure. And so the power packs give you a bit of a discount. So again, you have to spend a little more, but just like at a grocery store, a buy one
Okay.
get one deal, or
Yeah.
yeah. And so you can buy again the low voltage and the medium voltage are probably the best deals. The high voltage, again, that's a lot of M energy. So I would wait on that till we have more options. But
Got
yeah,
it.
you get a bit of a bonus for buying the power packs. Yeah.
So this is a way to earn M energy.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
actually are converting what you're buying into M energy, and then again, that M energy is spendable on the batteries.
Got it. Yeah, I see it. Okay, cool. Awesome, man. I think so far what I'm seeing, what you guys have done, like what do you see any now that it's been live for 8 days, or is there anything jumping out at you that you're like, oh, we didn't account for this, or you feel like you,
Yeah.
yeah, like what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. So again, I don't want to jinx ourselves, but we have this has been beyond our wildest expectations. I mean, to have literally 66% of EMP accounted for in the first 8 days
It's amazing.
is beyond our wildest dreams. So that being said,
Cool.
we and that's why we went through a year of building Fusion, because we did more testing than you would ever think is humanly possible. But that again is a testament to our safety and due diligence that we do. But yeah, man, everything that we're seeing is working flawlessly. We have to work through the swing traders, which again we saw last
Yep.
night.
Yeah.
But little by little, I mean, you can see it's already recovering, and that will be less and less of a problem as we move forward. And everything
Yeah.
that we have designed has been amazing. We did too. Just one more note on that. We when we launched, we had the marketplace transacting in BNB, where you would buy and sell your microgrids
Okay.
in BNB. We did that to avoid any potential flash loans or exploits with low liquidity. But now we've been able to build the liquidity on eShare. We have over $100,000 of liquidity on eShare now, and so we are pushing an update where you will be able to transact all of your microgrids, buying and selling in actual eShare. So this is also really cool because it gives more uh, volume and potentially fees to the eShare token as well.
Got it.
So yeah, eShare again is very volatile, so be prepared for that. But over
Sure.
the long run, I mean, not financial advice, but eShare is also a very powerful speculative tool on the health of our ecosystem,
Right.
even outside of EMP itself. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is something totally unique that, the space hasn't seen. So it's going to be cool. I mean, I think with anything that's developed, like I said, it's like this chess match between the users. So,
For sure.
but I feel like you guys have done a really thorough job trying to think things through. And, it just brings comfort knowing the team, no matter what may arise, like you're going to tackle it and keep moving forward. So I think that's the whole betting on the team thing. And looking
Yeah,
at your track
absolutely.
record, never having an exploit, it says something. So anyway, hope you guys got all your questions answered. I feel like we pretty much, hit on most of the major things. I'll link everything in terms of, the Git book and everything that you guys can go in and do your own research. Um, if you're new to the ecosystem and if you're already in it, you guys are the AMA masters. Like they're constantly doing 3 AMAs a day or a couple a week.
For sure,
And
brother.
so they're always putting the info out there to make you as an informed investor as possible. So always appreciate that. So anyway, AJ, thanks again for coming on the channel. Always love having you. And I just think you guys have done a great job with this.
Thank you, Matt. That means a lot, brother. Again, like I said earlier, I remember why I enjoy coming on so much. You've been great, and I think this was one of the best deep dives that we've done. And yeah, bro, I
Cool.
would love to come back on again, maybe a week, maybe a month, when we are at
Yeah.
Peg, man. So it will be a
Hey,
tremendous accomplishment for sure.
that would be amazing. I mean, because I love your attitude of it's happening. It's not will we. I'm pretty sure it's like no, it's happening.
For sure, brother. Yeah, well, and we say this too, we have a saying in our group that, the math is unfuddable. So, yeah, just based
That's
on the
good.
math, alone, I mean, we are very, very confident. And honestly, again, just to leave with this, a lot of the peg recovery already has been purely organic. And, we have had a very healthy treasury that we purposely did not give away as exit liquidity for all the people that may have been frustrated with EMP. We made that hard decision. We said, we're going to build for the future. And so the big recovery is happening already without any external support from the Treasury, which again is just a testament to how not only how well EMP Fusion is built, but also to our community for really rallying behind it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you guys have a great community. By far, I know you said you took a lot of heat. I mean, that's any protocol during the time span that, you weren't directly developing EMP. But, I interact with a lot of the DeFi communities and always it's easy to get a little bit of poison in there and get disgruntled people and like it implodes on top of itself. And I feel like you guys have done a great job, you and LA and the team, of keeping it just upbeat, keep feeding people the vision so they know where you're going. And anyway, great job with that.
Thanks, brother. All right, man.
Awesome,
Well,
man.
much love to you and the whole community. And thank you again, everybody, for your time, for
All
sure.
right. See you guys later. Thanks.